Have you ever thought there's a limit to what you can achieve? That at some point, everything just gets too hard or even impossible? Here's the thing, those limits aren't real. They're just mental walls you've built that stop you from reaching what you're truly capable of. The truth is, you're nowhere near your full potential. Everything you think you can't do, everything you believe is beyond your reach, is just waiting for you. But to get there, you've got to challenge yourself, step out of your comfort zone, and embrace pain as part of the process. You need to push past your limits and realize that in life, the only thing truly holding you back is the fear of failure. Get ready, because what comes next will shake how you view your limitations and force you to see what really matters on your path to victory. Do you know the biggest lie you've ever been told? That you should always push past your limits. That there's always a way to be faster, stronger, or smarter. But this obsession with breaking limits without understanding them is exactly what's keeping you stuck. Let me tell you something right now. Your limits aren't obstacles. They're signals. They show you where you are, what you've already achieved, and, most importantly, where you should go next. Accepting your limits is key. It's not about being weak or giving up. It's about realizing that your limits aren't there to tear you down, but to build you up. The first step to real growth isn't smashing everything you've built so far. It's recognizing where you stand and respecting that position. Only then can you make smarter, more strategic decisions. Recognizing your limits prepares you to face them and conquer them when the time is right. Now, stop and think. How many times have you tried to overcome something you didn't even understand? How often have you pushed yourself beyond what you were ready for, only to end up breaking down? Here's the hard truth. Ignoring your limits only creates bigger obstacles. And when those obstacles show up, you feel weak and powerless because you thought you'd already conquered it all. But what did you really conquer? Or did you just make things harder for yourself, all to prove something you don't even fully understand? Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you acknowledged your limits and used them as a springboard for growth instead of seeing them as reasons to feel small? Here's your wake-up call. When you truly understand this, you'll see the strength in recognizing what you can and can't do right now. Do you think your limits are a disadvantage? A weight holding you back? That's only because you haven't figured out the power of working with what you've got, instead of fighting against it. When you recognize your limits, you start to see exactly what you need to keep moving forward. That's when those limits turn into your biggest advantage. There's nothing wrong with having limits. The problem starts when you compare yourself to others, trying to be more than you really are without even knowing your true potential. The secret is aligning your limits with your actions. When you do that, every so-called weakness becomes fuel for a whole new level of performance. Have you ever thought about flipping the script and turning what you see as a weakness into a real advantage? When you're drained, overwhelmed, and under pressure, that's the moment to create your strategy. Your limits aren't weights, they're signals, pointing out what needs to be adjusted and what you still need to figure out about yourself. And here's where it gets interesting. Instead of sinking under that pressure, you can pause, recalibrate, and use that break to strengthen your weak spots. Using limits as an advantage means you stop waiting for problems to disappear. On the contrary, you embrace them, knowing that's where the opportunity to grow lies. Now, think about this. What would happen if you started playing within your own limits, but smarter? How could failure ever take you down? I'm not saying to settle for what's easy. It's not about giving up growth. It's about being strategic with your strengths. The real advantage of knowing your limits is understanding when to push harder and when to step back, adjust, and come back stronger. Give yourself that space, and you'll become unstoppable. That's the secret. Stop fighting your limits and make them your strongest ally. Fear isn't your enemy. It's the key to your biggest growth. Have you ever stopped to think about that? Fear is life's way of sending you a signal. It's not there to freeze you in place. It's there to push you forward. But here's the deal. When you let fear take control of your mind, it paralyzes you. Yet, when you learn to face fear head on, it becomes the fuel that propels you to the next level. Fear isn't something that magically disappears. It's always going to be there. The trick is learning how to turn that fear into motivation. When you're scared of failing, it doesn't mean failure is inevitable. It means you're on the verge of something huge. Fear is just your body's way of saying, hey, something important is about to happen, so get ready. Now, instead of running from fear, start using it. The real game changer is understanding fear and flipping it to work in your favor. The moment fear strikes, you've got two choices: step back and let it own you, or step forward and let it drive you. And let me tell you, the feeling you get after you conquer the thing you're most afraid of, it's indescribable. The reward is so much bigger than the temporary comfort of avoiding fear. Fear is a test, and the truth is, you'll feel it again and again. That's not weakness. That's a sign you're stepping into uncharted territory where the biggest challenges and rewards live. When you use fear as motivation, you become unstoppable. Fear becomes the fuel for your journey, pushing you to places you never thought you could reach. Self-discipline is your greatest ally. Have you ever wondered why some people achieve the impossible while others stay stuck, trying and failing to move forward? The answer lies in discipline, the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. That's the line that separates winners from everyone else. You can have talent, intelligence, even luck, but without self-discipline, none of it matters. Discipline is what gets you to act when every part of you wants to quit. It's what keeps you standing when laziness and exhaustion try to knock you down. You felt it, haven't you? That urge to take it easy, to quit for a bit, to give yourself a break and justify it. The problem? That break doesn't end. It becomes a delay. And that delay pulls you further away from the strongest version of yourself. Discipline is what keeps you focused. It forces you to make tough but necessary choices to get where you want to be. There's no room for excuses, no procrastination, no regrets. Discipline makes you do what you know you must, no matter how hard it is. Choosing discipline means choosing success. But don't be fooled. Discipline is like a muscle. And like any muscle, it needs to be worked every single day. Don't wait to feel motivated to act. When you commit to discipline, Motivation follows your actions. The simple act of doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to, creates a cycle of results that make you stronger and more unstoppable. That's power. You can be disciplined. You can be unbeatable. All you have to do is decide. Pain is inevitable, but suffering, that's a choice. And if you want to reach the next level, it's the suffering you'll have to face head on. Pain will show up. It'll knock on your door. You can try to ignore it, run from it, or hide, but it'll always come back. The real secret is learning to live with it, and more importantly, not letting it paralyze you. When you choose to keep going, even through the pain, you become unbreakable. Pain is a messenger. It tells you where you're weak, where you need to improve. It's not the end, it's just the beginning. The real test is what you do with it. Will you let it take you down? Or will you use it to rise higher? Think about the worst moment of your life. That time when the pain felt unbearable, when everything seemed lost. Now think about how you felt when you overcame it. What was it like to claw your way out and come back stronger? That's what pain does for you. It doesn't break you, it shapes you. It prepares you for what's next. And trust me, what's coming is always bigger than what you've left behind. Pain will come, it always does. But you get to choose, use it as fuel or let it crush you. Your ability to push forward, even when it hurts, is what will set you apart. Winners aren't the ones who never fall, they're the ones who always get back up. When you learn to embrace pain and use it as a springboard, you break free from the chains of fear and doubt. Only then will you understand what it truly means to be unstoppable. Have you ever wondered how far you can really go? I'm not talking about small goals or what you think you can achieve with minimal effort. I'm talking about shattering the limits you've imposed on yourself. I'm talking about stretching your comfort zone so far that you can't even see the finish line anymore. Most people live under the illusion of safety. They believe their limits define their endpoint. But the truth is, what they see as the finish line is actually just the starting point for a whole new level. They stay stagnant, cozy in their bubble, thinking they've done enough. But if you want to stand out, you've got to understand one thing. Real victory comes when you decide to go beyond what you think is possible. Every limit you think you have is just a creation of your mind. They don't exist in the real world. There's no wall stopping you from being stronger, faster, or better. The only wall is the one you've built inside, made of fear, insecurities, and doubts. Now think about it. How many times have you held yourself back because you believed you couldn't do it? How many opportunities have you missed because you didn't think you were good enough? Most of the time, the biggest obstacles you face aren't out there, they're inside you. When you decide to push beyond, you tear down those barriers. You don't just achieve the impossible, you redefine what it means to live without limits. Every step you take beyond what you thought was possible opens up a new path, a new opportunity, a new world. What once seemed like a distant dream becomes a reality you created with your own hands. Life isn't going to hand you a map with all the answers. It's going to challenge you, push you to the edge. But if you're brave enough to keep going, you discover that edge doesn't even exist. The question is, are you ready to act like the impossible is already within your grasp? Because here's the truth, nothing is stopping you. Nothing except you. When you choose to push past your own limits, you step into a space where the impossible becomes just another meaningless word. There's no room for doubt, no time for hesitation. Every step you take beyond what you thought was possible is a step toward true freedom. You'll face obstacles. You'll feel pain. You'll want to quit. But those moments, those are the ones that define who you really are. When you learn to turn pain into fuel and fight through your fears, you start to take control of your life. What felt like the end becomes the start of a new chapter, one where you don't just survive, but thrive. Now that you know the game, now that you see the truth, the real question is, what are you going to do with it? Will you keep holding yourself back, or will you break through your limits? The choice is yours.